Okay, so the next topic is transistor. Now, what is a transistor? So, transistor is basically a junction diode, a combination of junction diode, back-to-back junction diode combinations like that. Okay, so how it is done? Like in junction diode, what we have is this. Okay, there is a P region, there is a N region. But what we do in this is we connect two PN junction diode back to back. Okay, like this. Okay, so basically this is my, let us say this is my P and then again P and NP. Okay, so how it actually looks like is we don't have four separate layers, we have only three separate layers. One would be P, the other would be N, and the third one would be again P. The other version is NPN transistor. Okay, so there are basically two type of transistor, NPN. Draw it a bigger. Okay. So there can be a NPN or PNP transistors available in the market, and both works on the different principle. Principle is same behind that, but to turn on and turn off, or to flow the current in both the cases would be different, because the physical property, physical production is different. So this is how a transistor look like. But let us see it in detail, like how it will work, how can be transistor be in forward or reverse bias, and what happens when it is in some particular forward or reverse bias. First of all, a transistor consists of p-n junction formed by sandwiching either p-type or n-type. So I have sandwiched one layer in between. Either it can be a p-type. If it is p-type layer in between, then it is an NPN transistor. If it is an n-type layer in between two, then it is a PNP transistor. So there are two type of transistor possible, and it looks like this. Okay, one is NPN, the other one is PNP. Now we have basically three layers in between. Okay, so this is my one diode, this is my another diode connected back to back. Same way here, one diode and the other diode. Okay, but in between one sandwich layer is common in between two diodes. That's the transistor. Now transistor is what we have is there are two PN junctions. Therefore, a transistor may be regarded as a combination of two diodes back to back. There are three terminals from each layer, and the middle section is very thin layer. This would be a thinnest layer. Okay, and there is a reason to make it a thin. This is the most important factor of the function of a transistor. This thin layer. Without this thin layer, it won't work as a transistor. But to make it a transistor, it should be a thin layer. And that's why whenever you draw a figure, it should be like this, thin layer, and that the others two should be a thick layer. Middle layer will be always a thin layer. And PNP transistor or NPN transistor can be symbolically represented like this. So if you have a PNP transistor, we will see there are three terminals named as emitter, collector, and base. So always a PNP transistor will have a emitter to base current like this. So arrow will be represented from emitter to base like this. And in case of its NPN transistor, then a base to emitter arrow would be represented. Otherwise, the symbolical diagram is same, but only this arrow, either it's emitter to base or base to emitter, depending on that you will say it is a PNP or NPN transistor. So keep that in mind. Okay, this arrow direction is very important. Basically, it shows the direction of the current. So a transistor has a three section of doped semiconductor. The section on one side is the emitter, and the section on the opposite side is a collector. Let me draw. Yeah, see, this is emitter and this is a collector, and in between them the thin layer is called a base. Okay, and uh, now what is the emitter? The emitter is basically the layer which will emit the currents. That's why it is known as the emitter. It flows, the majority of carriers will be here, and the current will be flowed due to this emitter only. Okay, so the section on one side that supplies the charge carriers is called the emitter. The emitter is always forward biased with respect to base, so that it can supply a large number of majority carriers. Okay, the emitter of PNP transistor is forward biased and supply whole charges to its junction with a base. Okay. Similarly, in figure 8.2, the emitter of NPN transistor has a forward bias and supplies free electron to its junction with the base. So in both the cases, okay, whether it is be it a PNP transistor or NPN transistor, to work this on this transistor, you have to make sure this PN junction diode formed between emitter and base has to be in forward bias. So you can see this is a PNP type. So P is a positive, like P is connected with the positive, and N is connected with negative. So this if I hide this one, if I hide this one, then this is just a PN junction diode in forward bias. You can see that. Okay. Same way, if I'm working on NPN transistor, then also I have to make sure your PN junction diode is forward bias. So how do I do that? I have inverted my battery, and this positive is connected to central P now, and N is connected with negative. So again, if I hide this one, in that case, again my PN junction is in forward bias. So in either of two connection, you have to make sure, like be it PNP or NPN, you have to make sure your PN junction, okay, between your emitter and base, you must have to make it a forward bias to work your PNP. So what is the emitter? Emitter, whenever this is in forward bias, what will happen? A large current will flow from P to N. Okay, same way here, a large current will flow from P to N. But in both these cases, the charge carrier will be different. Here the current will be due to the holes, and here the current will be due to the electrons. Okay, large flow of electron from N to P will be there, and here large hole will be transferring from P to N. Collector is the one which collects the current. The section on the other side that collects the charge is called the collector. The collector is always reverse bias. Okay, so again you can see here it is reverse bias. Okay, with respect to P, this terminal is negative. With respect to N, it is positive. In case of NPN, the scenario is different. Again, this is in reverse bias. So emitter to base must be in forward, and collector to base must be in reverse. Okay, be it a PNP or NPN. That's the first condition. Its function is to remove the charges from its junction with the base. So what it will do? It will take the majority current away from this base. Okay, so a large current will flow due to this, and that large current, now we know that this is a very low doping area. Okay, so in this low doping area, what will happen? Combination of electron with holes will there, but very few electrons will be combined at this place. So large electrons, due to this large doping over here or large N layer, you have large number of electrons presented in this, and due to this PN is in forward bias, that electron will move to this side. Now from that, whatever is the thickness of this layer, according to that, some electron hole combinations will be there, and due to that, some electron will be consumed here, I can say, and the remaining electrons will be available at this junction, and that electron will pass on to this layer, and it will, why it will pass on to this layer? Because this is in reverse bias. So a positive terminal is here, that means a holes are present. So large electron will attract it towards this positive polarity, I can say, and that electron will flow here to here. So large number of current will pass to collector. That's why it is known as collector. It will collect the electrons or holes in case of PNP. So the collector of PNP transistor have a reverse bias and reverse hole charges that flows in the output circuit. Similarly, in figure 8.2, the collector of NPN transistor have a reverse bias and reverse electrons. That's the scenario of the both PNP as well as NPN. What is the base? The base is a middle section which forms two PN junction between the emitter and collector. The base emitter junction is forward bias allowing a low resistance for the emitter circuit. Okay, so what will happen now? This is in forward bias. That means the resistance will be very low in this area. But this other part, okay, the collector base in reverse bias, so high resistance is there. So to flow the current here, there would be a high resistance present. The base collector junction is reverse bias and provides high resistance in the collector circuit. Now how it works? So working is again same. We have already explained the working. See, your PN junction must be in forward. So we been this positive with P and negative with N. That means it is in forward bias, and at the same time, your base collector junction should be in reverse bias. So this is a reverse bias. So now how it's works, let us see. So first of all, this negative terminal will have the electrons flowing from this direction to this direction. So electron will push into your N layer or your emitter. Now as soon as I push in some electrons here, what will happen? There are already free electrons present, and now I am pushing more electrons here. So large number of electrons will transfer to base. Okay, and that electrons at the base, now some hole combinations will be there, so there would be holes which will combine with electron, and then that current will pass through here, but majority of the electrons presented in this layer that has been passed here will now have nowhere to go, because this combination is already there. So what will happen? The large number of electron is present in this p layer now, but as this is in reverse bias, at the n terminal I have a positive polarity, or I can say there are holes present. So this electron will flow towards this battery, and the remaining electron will pass on in form of the current IC. Okay, and this will complete a circuit like this. Okay, so that's how it works. Now let's read it one more time. So the NPN transistor with forward bias to emitter junction and reverse bias to base junction, a base collector. The forward bias causes the electron in the n-type emitter to flow toward the base. This constitutes the emitter current IE, that's current IE. As these electrons flow through the p-type base, they tend to combine with holes. As the base is lightly doped, this is very lightly doped, so very less holes will be present and very thin, therefore only a few electrons, less than 5% of the total that has been flown here, combine with the holes to constitute the base. The current IB is due to that combination. The remainder cross over into the collector region to constitute the collector current IC. In this way, almost the entire emitter current flows through collector circuit. So most of the time, 95% of current will flow through IC, okay, in form of IC here, and only few will be like only 5% or 2 to 5% would be current in IB. So I is equal to IB plus IC. Okay, so this is how it works. Same way, your the different one like PNP. So PNP, what happens with PNP? In case of PNP, I have positive terminal over here, so it will push on the holes from this layer to this layer. So hole recombination with the electrons presented in this n layer. Same thing is happening. Then the remaining hole, 95% of hole that has been still left out, will be attracted toward this negative terminal. Okay, so my current will be flowing like this. So electron flow will be like this. Okay, so electron flow is different compared to the previous one, because this is a PNP transistor. Otherwise the theory remains safe, but here the majority charge carrier is holes in case of the PNP transistor. Okay, otherwise all the things are same, so I'm not reading it out. The important is this importance of transistor action. Like, what is the importance of this transistor? The input circuit has low resistance. We have already discussed that. There is very low resistance. Why? Because this is already in forward bias. Whereas the output circuit has a high resistance due to reverse bias. As we have seen, the input emitter current almost entirely flows in the collector circuit. So whatever current is in I, almost all current flows through IC. Therefore, a transistor transfers the input signal current from a low resistance circuit to high resistance circuit. So if you have so this is the application. If you have a low resistance circuit on the one side, so input circuit is low resistance and the output is high resistance. So large change in the input side will result in large change in the output side. So you can use this circuit as the amplifier circuit. So very weak signal over here will be converted into strong signal over here. How it has been done? We'll see that in the next slide probably. So this is a transistor symbol. We have already seen that how a transistor is drawn. Okay. These are the current, base current IE and IC, and same way IE, IC and IP. This is my NPN. This is PNP. Keep that in mind. Base to emitter is NPN and emitter to base is PNP. Okay. Now application of transistor. So transistor can be used as an amplifier. How you can do that? To do that, we are going to do this. Okay, see, I have to make sure my emitter base junction is always in forward bias. Okay, so what I have done, I have connected an additional source VEE. Now VEE would be such that this VEE would be such that it is always greater than my input signal. Let us say I have input signal like this. This is the audio input signal, let us say. Okay, so the audio input signal would be added with this VE. Okay, because it is connected in this way. So what I have to make sure that VEE is always greater than this signal amplitudes. Okay, so let us say if it is -5 to +5, then I have to make sure that VEE should be such that this is not forward bias. So let us say VEE is 10 volt. So what will happen? 10 plus -5. So when the signal is at negative peak, 10 plus -5. What will have? I will have still 5 volt. So that 5 volt can keep this in forward bias. Same way, 10 plus 5. At that time also, this base emitter junction is in forward bias. So you have to make sure that this junction is in forward bias. How to make sure that? By having a large VE compared to your signal. Okay, so here my signal is 10 to 10 peak, but I am having a 10 volt battery. So what will happen? This will be always in forward bias. That's the first condition to use transistor as an amplifier. Once you do that, what will happen? Depending on the signal, okay, depending on the signal, the voltage between this two will change. What will be the change? Change can be from 15 volt, okay, along with the signal plus VE, that is maximum peak to peak, that is +5 plus 10, that is 15 volt, up to -5 plus 10, that is 5 volt. So my change at this junction is 5 to 15 volt. And according to the change, higher the voltage at this point, higher current will flow in the emitter. So if the emitter current is higher, we know that most of the current will flow through collector. So if emitter current is higher, that means your IC or collector current is also higher. Now let's consider an example. If I only change let us say I am only changing 1 milliampere current here, IE, by changing this signal. Only 1 milliampere change is there, whatever is existing. So if I represent a 1 milliampere change, so if 1 milliampere current is there, almost 1 milliampere will be flowing through my collector. Okay. Now if you take the reading over here, a voltage reading, so 5 kilo ohm into 1 milliampere change at the output side, that means that is 5 volt signal. So by just changing 1 milliampere, I gain 5 volt. Why? Because the output resistance is very high, and due to that, a 1 milliampere change at the output side that result in a 5 volt. That's the large magnitude. So this is how your signal works. So 1 milliampere weak signal is converted into the high signal of 5 volt. Okay, this is just a representation, like this is just for an example how it is worked. So in order to achieve the faithful amplification, the input circuit should always remain forward biased. To do so, DC voltage V is applied in the input circuit in addition to the signal, as shown in this DC voltage. So we have already seen that how it is done. Now as the input circuit has very low resistance, now see what happens as the input circuit has very low resistance. So a small change in the voltage over here will result in large change in the current. Okay, because resistance would be low. That means a small change in the current over here will immediately reflected in terms of current between your base and emitter. So emitter current will change immediately. Therefore, a small change in signal voltage causes an appreciable change in emitter current. This causes almost the same change in collector current due to transistor action. The collector current flowing through a high load resistance RC produces a large voltage across it. Thus, a weak signal applied in the input circuit appears in the amplified form in the collector circuit. It is in this way that a transistor acts as an amplifier. Okay. So this is the example which we have converted. So if a 0.1 signal is applied over here, that will result in 1 milliampere current and that 1 milliampere in emitter is represented as 1 ampere in a collector circuit, and that 1 ampere multiplied with 5 kilo ohm resistance is 5 volts. So 0.1 volt signal at input side would be converted in 5 volt output signal. That is the amplification action. So that is voltage amplification of voltage amplification is of 50. So this is the ratio. Okay, 5 by 0.1, that is 50. And this is how amplifier works. This is actual circuit, how it is connected. So this is your audio signal. Okay, this is amplifier, and that is your output. Now let us discuss about a different type of transistor connections. A transistor having a 3 terminal can be connected in different ways. Okay? A common base connector, common emitter connection, or common collector connections can be possible. Okay, so how to connect that in each type, and what are the different characteristics if you change from one to other? So we are going to study that. So very first is common base connection. What is a common base connection? A base is considered as a common. Okay. So this is a common base connection. Base is as a center. Both the one voltage is applied between the emitter and base, and the other voltage will be applied between your base to your collector. Okay. This is the example of NPN, and this is a PNP. A common base is shown, and the PNP is in the other one. Now let us understand what is the difference between these two. So very first is current amplification factor, how a current is amplified in common base connection. That's the first characteristic. So it is the ratio of output current to input current. So what is the output current here, and what is the input current? So if you look at the figure, your output current is IC, okay, because it's output side. Input current is IE. So ratio of IC to IE is your current amplification. Okay, so let's see that ratio. Alpha is delta IC by delta E at constant VCB. But to calculate this amplification factor, you have to make sure VCB, that is voltage to current, voltage to collector base. Okay, VCB, voltage between current and collector and base must be constant. Which voltage? This voltage VCB between collector and base must be constant to calculate this. If you are changing that, and due to this change, if IC is changing, then you cannot say this is amplification factor, correct amplification factor. Okay. It is clear that the current amplification factor is less than unity. Why? Because there is a some part flowed in IB. A base current is there which will flow. By decreasing the base, this value can be increased. Which value? Alpha can be increased by decreasing the base current. But it cannot go beyond unity at any point. This is achieved by making the base thin and doping it lightly. That's why base is thin. Practical values of alpha in commercial transistor is ranging from 0.9 to 0.99. That's the range where your transistor works. Okay, so that's the amplification factor. That's the ratio of IE to IC. Okay. Then the second characteristic is expression for collector current. So like I am going to derive the equation for the collector current IC. The whole of emitter current does not reach the collector. That's the first point. It is because small percentage goes to electron hole combination occurring in the base area, and that will give the rise to base current. Moreover, the collector base junction is reverse bias. Therefore, some leakage current flows due to the minority carriers. Okay, the majority are holes in case of PNP, and in case of NPN, there are electron is a majority, but there would be a minority carriers which will result in the leakage current. Okay, as there is a reverse bias. During reverse bias, we have seen in PN junction diode characteristics, some leakage current is always present. So it flows. Therefore, that total collector current is actually not a single current, but actually that are two currents. A part of emitter current, which is alpha into IE. Okay. Why alpha into IE? Because alpha is IC by IE. So IC is alpha into IE. Along with that, the leakage current, I leakage, this current is due to the movement of minority carriers across the base collector junction on account of being reverse bias. This is much smaller than the IC, or you can say alpha IE. It's not actually IC. Now I cannot see this is IC. Okay, I'm going to call it somewhat differently. So the total collector current IC actual IC is alpha IE plus I leakage. Alpha IE, what alpha E? Alpha is my amplification factor and IE is the emitter current. Okay, so if I have 0.95, so 0.95 into IE plus I leakage. Leakage current is due to minority carrier charges. It is clear that if your IE is 0, a small leakage can still flow in the collector circuit. This leakage is abbreviated as ICBO, meaning collector base current with emitter open. Okay, what does this mean? Let us say this is the scenario. I have not connected any voltage source between my base and emitter. Okay, but still I have a connection here between my collector and my base. I want to find out the leakage current. That's why I'll do this. I'll leave it open. So no current due to IE present in this circuit now. If no IE is there, no current in resulted due to that majority charge carriers. But as this VCC is present, so this junction, collector to base junction is still in reverse bias. So due to this reverse bias, a leakage current will flow and that current is my ICBO. In without the presence of my VEB, whatever current I get due to VCC here or VCB is my ICBO. This is my leakage current, but I am going to call that leakage current as ICBO. Okay, that's term I am going to use, a CBO. What is CBO? CBO is collector base open. Okay, sorry, collector base with emitter open. That's ICBO. Okay, so now I can rewrite the equation. IC is equal to alpha IE plus ICBO. This is I leakage actually. Now I know IE is equal to IC plus IB. Okay, this is generalized. Always IE would be IC plus IB according to Kirchhoff law. We have only three options. This is a terminal. So this is my IE, IB, IC. So this will always result in true. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this value inside this I. So IC is equal to alpha IC plus alpha IB plus ICBO. So what I get finally is IC is equal to alpha upon 1 upon alpha divided by 1 minus alpha IB plus ICBO divided by 1 minus alpha. But IB will be present only and only when there is a voltage between emitter and base. If this terminal is open, like if emitter is not connected to voltage or it is not in forward bias, in that case, only current IC will flow that was due to ICBO divided by 1 minus alpha. So relation between 1 or 2 can be used to find IC. It is further clear from this relation that the collector current of a transistor can be controlled by either the emitter or the base current. So that there are two ways by which you can control your current IC. Okay, which are the two ways? The first way is either the emitter current, okay, or the base current. So if I increase the current in emitter, automatically my current in collector will increase, and the other way, if I increase the current in the IB or decrease the current in IB, accordingly my current in IC will change according to this equation. Okay, what is alpha here? Alpha is the current amplification factor, IC divided by IB, sorry, IC divided by IE, collector current to emitter current. Okay, so this is the scenario. Okay, and from this, when you reach this is now I have connected VE to make this forward bias. So at that time there are three currents. One is IE, second is IB, and third is IC. But IC is actually alpha IE plus ICBO. Okay, leakage along with a leakage. Now, based on this, we are going to calculate an example. For the common base circuit shown in figure 8.13, determine IC and VCB. So this is the circuit. Assume the transistor to be of silicon. Okay. Now what we have is a voltage source over here, a resistance on the input side, resistance on the output side, and output side voltage. Okay, I have this parameter. What I have been asked, I have to calculate the current IC and VCB. What is VCB? VCB is voltage between my collector and base. Okay, IC is the current in collector. Okay, so how to do that? Since the transistor is of silicon, VBE. Okay, so this is what? This is the forward bias voltage. Okay, it's that what is it? Depletion layer voltage. To have that band gap broken down, you need 0.7 voltage. If it's the germanium, that would be 0.3 volt. So 0.7 volt is the VBE. What is VBE? VBE is the voltage between base and emitter. Okay, here to flow the current from here to here, you need at least 0.7 volt. So applying Kirchhoff voltage law to the emitter side loop, we get what we get. We get VEE is equal to IE into RE. Okay, so this is IE into RE plus VBE. Or IE is equal to VEE minus VBE divided by IE. So what is V? V is actually this battery. What is VBE? That's the internal voltage, potential barrier that you have to break to flow the current. Okay, so 8 minus 0.7 divided by 1.5. So you get 4.87 milliampere of emitter current. Once you get that, from that you can calculate your IC and your IB. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply the voltage rule over here. So what that would be? That would be VCC is equal to ICRC plus VCB. There should be something is missing. Okay. Now here we have directly taken this IC is almost IE. Okay, that's why we can say 4.87 milliampere is the current of my collector. Okay, this is always like 0.921% is the amplification factor. We know that. That's why we can take this assumption. So applying Kirchhoff voltage law, we can calculate the current IC. Sorry, not current IC. We can calculate the VCE, the collector emitter voltage, the potential barrier that has to be broken. So that is VCC is equal to ICRC plus VCB. Now we want to find out VCB. We have this VCC 18. We know the current IC is 4.87, so we can get that to 12.16 volt. Okay, that is between these two. So this is how you can calculate the example. It is very easy, nothing complex in that. Now this is important part, characteristic of a common base connection. So what we are going to do, we are going to plot a graph between two parameters. Which are the two parameters? Emitter base voltage and emitter current. So how, if I change emitter base voltage, okay, VEB, then how my emitter current will change? That's the graph. Okay, so now if you look at this graph almost look like a PN junction diode graph. Why it's like so? Because basically VEB means the voltage between your PN junction diode. If I say VEB, that's the voltage between these two. So if I am increasing this voltage over here, what will happen? The more current will flow over here in PN junction diode. Same thing happens. So it's almost like that. But with constant voltage between your collector and base, okay, if collector base voltage is 0, at that time you will get the graph starting from 0, somewhere around 0. But if you want to improve your current, okay, what is the improvement in current? Higher current will flow inside the emitter. How to do that? By having the collector base voltage higher. Okay, it's 10 voltage, like if a 20 voltage is somewhere, graph will rise here. So same way, if I increase the voltage of my collector to base, at that time I can improve my. Even has a question, yes, Ocean. It is the curve between the emitter current and emitter base voltage VEB at a constant collector base current voltage. Okay, so VCB must be constant while you plot this. Okay, so if I want to plot it VCB 0, then I'll make this 0. Then I'm going to apply different voltage on my emitter base, and then I'm going to measure the current IE. And then I'll plot this characteristic. Same way for different VCB, again I'll change the value of VCB, let us say 10 volt. I'll make it constant, then I'll start to VEB with my 0. I'll change VEB, and I'll record the reading of IE. That's how this graph is we get. So the emitter current is generally taken along y-axis and emitter base voltage along x-axis, shown the input characteristic of a typical transistor in CB arrangement. The CB, what is a CB arrangement? CB arrangement is common base arrangement. The following points may be noted from this characteristic. So these are the important points. The emitter current IE increase rapidly with a small increase in emitter base voltage. Okay. So if I change a base voltage slightly, my emitter current changes in rapidly. It means input resistance is very small. Then and then this happens. The emitter current is almost independent of collector base voltage VCB. Okay, so the emitter current is almost independent of collector base voltage VCB. This leads to the conclusion that emitter current is almost independent of collector voltage. So what this saying is, you can see this like difference between these two. Though I have a 10 volt at current collector base, then also a very slight increment in my uh, IE emitter current. Okay, so that represent that there is no significant effect. Okay, like there is no effect, not it is not like that, but there is no significant effect of your collector base voltage VCB on your input emitter current, or you can say input current. Okay, that's the 2 point that we can get from this characteristic. So a question can be asked, explain the common characteristic of common base connection. Same way, there is a separate characteristic for each connection. This is for common base connection. So this is the input characteristic. There is one more characteristic is the output characteristic. Okay. So this is how the input resistance is calculated. Input resistance Ri is equal to delta VB upon delta IE. What is VBE? VB is the voltage between base and emitter, and IE is the emitter current. So you can get your Ri like this. Now output characteristic. So what is output characteristic? Yeah, the main point, input. Why it is called input characteristic? Because it is the relation between your VEB and IE. VEB and IE is which one? See. Yeah, VEB and VIE, like IE is this on input side, and your output side you have IC and VC. That's why we'll say the output characteristics is between VC and IC. Okay. Now let's check that. What is the characteristics? So this is the output characteristic. So the curve between the collector current and collector base voltage is VCB at constant emitter current is generally collector current is taken along y-axis. So this is like characteristic between VCB and collector current. But to plot this, you have to make sure your emitter current was constant. Okay, that's the first thing. Now, what are the takeaways from this graph? So, very first takeaway is, though you improve your VCB, okay, voltage between your collector and base, there is no significant change in the collector current. Okay. See, I am increasing VCB along this line, but there is no change in the current. Current remains almost constant, or I can say very slight changes in the collector current due to VCB itself. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, to improve the collector current, what you can do is you can directly change the emitter current. So if I change the emitter current, you can see you jump in there between your graphs of collector current. So your collector current is directly like in relation with IE. Okay, so that's two our takeaway. The collector current IC varies with CB only at very low voltages. The transistor is never operated in this region. Okay, so it only changes during this time. You can see the only changes during 1 volt, first 1 volt, but we never operate in that range. We always have VCB a very high, like 10-20 volts will be there. The second is, when the value of VCB is raised above 1 or 2 volt, the collector current becomes constant as indicated by straight horizontal curve. It means that now IC is independent of VCB and depends upon IE only. This is the consistent with the theory that the emitter current flows almost entirely to collector terminal. The transistor is always operated in this region. Okay, so this is the region where I am going to operate my transistor. So these are the two characteristics, input and output characteristic of your common base connection. A very large change in a collector base voltage produces only a tiny change in collector current. This means that the output resistance is very high. So if I change voltage, like drastically change in voltage, then also a very small change in the collector current. So VC upon IC would be very high. That means that. Okay, so output resistance VCB by IC is very high. Okay, otherwise, if this resistance is small, what will happen? If I change the voltage, immediately my current will change. But if my resistance is very high, in that case, though I change VC, then my IC change will be very small. So these are three takeaways from the output characteristic. Okay. Now next is common emitter connection. So what we do in common emitter connection, we'll connect emitter in between your base and collector. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a common terminal of emitter. So VBE would be first voltage and VCE would be the second voltage. Okay, so this case of NPN and this is a PNP. Okay. So here what will happen? Here a base current amplification will be there. In common emitter connection, input current IB and output current is IC because IE is common in between. Okay, so now input is IB and output is IC. So the ratio of change in current, collector current to change in base current is known as base current amplification factor. Earlier what it was the, see earlier when we have seen this, at that time that terminology was different, that was alpha. Okay, that is a current amplification factor. Okay, generally you will have most of it, like 90 to 95% of time you have common base connection, but sometimes a common collector or common emitter connections can be possible. Here your amplification factor is base current amplification factor. That's why it is known as beta. That is delta IC by delta IB. In almost any transistor, less than 5% of emitter current flows through the base current. Therefore, the value of beta is generally greater than 20. Usually, the value ranges from 20 to 500. This type of connection is frequently used as it gives appreciable current gains as well as voltage gains. So relation between beta and alpha. Now we are going to derive this relation. So beta is equal to IC by IB. We know alpha is equal to IC by IE. Now IE is equal to IB plus IC. Okay, that's the third relation that we know from the very first slide. Same way I can apply for the delta. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take the value of delta IB and I'm going to put it over here. So that give me delta IC upon delta I minus delta IC. Now dividing the numerator and denominator of RHS of expression 3 by delta IE. So I'm going to divide it by delta IE. So IC by IE by IE and IC by IE get. So this is my alpha, this is 1 and this is again alpha. So alpha upon 1 minus alpha is the relation between. So I can say beta is equal to alpha upon 1 minus alpha. It's clear that alpha approaches unity, beta approaches infinity. As your alpha approaches unity, immediately your beta approaches to infinity. In other words, the current gain in the common emitter connection is very high. It is due to the reason that this circuit arrangement is used in about 90 to 95% of our transistor applications. Which connection? Common emitter connection. Common base connection. Now this is the expression for collector current. So we are going to calculate the IC. Okay, so this is the derivation, you can look into that and finally we'll get this equation. Alpha upon 1 minus alpha IB plus 1 upon 1 minus alpha into ICBO. So from this expression you can see if IB is equal to 0, when IB will be 0, when I have base open, the collector current will be the current of the emitter. This is abbreviated as ICEO. It is collector emitter with base open. Okay, so first C is collector, E is emitter, and O means the third terminal, that is base remaining, is open. So ICEO is this term. Why? Because IB is 0. I have open VB. VB is not there. That's why this is 0. So at that time I get 1 upon 1 minus alpha into ICBO. Now substituting this value in expression 3 here, what I'll get is IC. Okay, now alpha upon 1 minus alpha is actually beta. We know that. So IC is equal to beta IB plus ICEO. That's the relation between your IC and IB. And this is the base open, and without base open, these are the current that flow. Here I'll flow beta IB plus ICO, and here I'll have beta plus 1 into IB plus ICO, and this is my IB. Now this is example, you can do it yourself. We'll quickly go to the characteristic. This is the characteristic of common emitter connection. Input characteristic shows this graph. Okay. Now directly let us see that the characteristic resembles that of the forward bias diode curve. This is expected since the base emitter section of transistor is diode and its forward bias. The second is, as compared to CB arrangement, common base arrangement, IB increases less rapidly with VB. Okay, so IB increases less rapidly compared to the VB. Therefore, input resistance of CE circuit is higher than of CB circuit. So here the input resistance is high in case of common emitter connection compared to common base connection, because earlier we have graph like this. Okay, exponential kind of graph was there. Now here input resistance is given by ratio between VBE upon IB. Okay, so this is the equation. Now output characteristic. So this is the output characteristic. What are the takeaways? The collector current IC varies with VCE for VC between 0 to 1 volt only. So it's same as earlier. Okay, it will only change during this 1 volt, initial 1 volt. The second is above knee voltage, IC is almost constant. When I reach the knee voltage, after that my IC is almost constant. You can see here or here or here or here. After that your voltage is constant. So relation between VCE is no longer true once you reach the knee voltage. Okay, changing in VCE, you will only change a very slight amount of change in your current IC. That's the same. And for any value of VCE above knee voltage, the collector current IC approximately equal to beta into IB. And this is the relation. This is the like output resistance delta VC upon delta IC. It may be noted that whereas the output characteristics of CB circuit are horizontal, they have noticeable slope of CE circuit. Therefore, the output resistance of CE circuit is less than that of CB circuit. So again, here the resistance is less. So input resistance is high compared to the previous common base, but here the output resistance is low compared to the common base. That's the 2 point. Same way, we have a common collector connection that is for self-study. I have already uploaded the book V.K. Mehta, so you can refer it from here. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, so we'll stop here for the lecture, and we are almost done. This is the only topic that is remaining, common collector connection, and it's for self-study. If you have any questions, you can ask.